Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Mario Stanley here, Beyond Explorer, climbing guide, and rock climbing coach. I want to take a moment to throw out an answer to a question that I answered to a friend, and it was a really good question, and I just never thought about it, and so I wanted to share this information with you in the interworld. So, how do you choose what gear you're going to take on a climbing trip when you don't necessarily know what you're going to climb? This means you're dependent on weather, or you're dependent on climbing in the sun, or in the shade, or AM, or PM, or you just don't know. So, a couple tips I want to give you guys. First and foremost, get a guidebook. Support your crags, support your local developers. Getting a guidebook is the first step to going anywhere. It has beta on routes, how to get there, overview maps, topos, descriptions of the routes. I mean, it's just common sense to get a guidebook. I know the internet has all the resources in the world, but batteries do die. Carrying a portable battery for your phone is not always the greatest idea, especially if you're doing multi-pitch. You don't want this extra weight anyway, but just buy a guidebook. Now we're going to go back to the internet. It's fact check everything that you are going to choose. So let's go over the structure. Now I know you can't really see this right here, but I'm a little old fashioned. I like paper for everything. There is 3 routes. The top 3 routes are in 3 different areas. There are definitely 3 different grades, but the most importantly thing is each one of these routes are something I really want to do. I'll zoom in on this a little later so you guys can see it, but the first one is singles to 3, and I think the next one is 1.5 to 5, and the next one is singles to 4. Those 3 routes are going to be basically my ballpark range of what I'm going to start. And so I can grab one thing more on the top end or one thing more on the bottom end of the spectrum. But realistically, when you look at this, everything else underneath this has just a solid line. Why? Because every other route that I have chosen, I know the range stays within there. Now, this is where fact checking comes into play. It's very important to go online and fact check every route that you're going to do. Because sometimes the routes that, what they use to establish the route and do the first ascent is not what you really need to climb it anymore. It might say triples of such or doubles of such, and then you go online and Mountain Project or Super Topo or wherever you like to get your information from, and you realize someone says, hey, we went up this route, we took all this extra gear, and we never used anything below. Now, am I saying don't bring that gear? No, I'm not saying that at all. You need to climb well within your comfort zone. And if you don't know how to tell what your comfort zone is, I highly recommend you hire a guide or bring a friend who's far more experienced with you. My first step, always hire a guide. A guide will be able to walk you through anything and everything that you need. But when you see these things, you're like, okay, you can shave off some weight. And it's also good to do your homework because you never know. Someone might say the trail got washed out, something changed. But doing your homework, going back and forth is so key. So, what are the steps to choosing this route? Choosing routes when you don't necessarily know what you're going to climb. 1, get the guidebook. 2, fact check. Do your homework. Checks and balances are key. If you guys have any other questions about how to pack for a trip or do anything rock climbing related, please see one of my previous videos about how to break in climbing shoes. But I would love to answer questions for you guys, and I would love to see you rock climb and send. So if you need anything else, reach out. Other than that, thanks for stopping by the Gear Closet, and have a great day.